Morning everyone, welcome to Spain. My name is Victor Seoane, and in this video I want to share my experiences with how to cope when you've fallen out with a sibling. In my personal experience, what happened was back in 2006 I had a big row with my brother, who's 5.5 years older than me. And we had a big row, and we fell out. I live in Spain, he lives in London. So what happened was I was in London at the time, and I came back to Spain, and we exchanged a few angry emails, and we just cut off the relationship over email. Yes, very sad, but these things happen. And so what then happened was the years started passing by. We didn't communicate with each other whatsoever. My mum and dad would come over here to Spain to visit me because they live in London also. And they would obviously express a lot of sadness, and my mum would cry. So this was obviously very painful. So I still wouldn't call him. I still refused to call him. So the years went by, and that's how it remained for 12 years. Unfortunately, this is a situation that happens a lot nowadays. All sorts of things can happen. Brexit, for example, has split up families. Maybe a brother voted Remain, a sister or another brother voted to leave, and they ended up having a big argument, and they ended up cutting off their relationship. Also, other situations that can happen. When Donald Trump came into power, a lot of families split up there in America. Maybe a brother voted Hillary, a sister voted Donald Trump, and they ended up cutting off their relationship. Also, a very common reason for cutting off a sibling relationship is inheritance. I know somebody, a cousin of mine, who is now going through a pretty difficult time with her brother. Because of her father passing away and leaving behind inheritance, and a big row has occurred because of this inheritance. This is probably the most common reason why siblings cut off their lifetime relationships, because of inheritance, because of money. It's very, very common. Is it worth cutting off your relationship with your sibling? Is this something that you should do? Well, let's think about it this way. If the situation isn't really as bad as you think, if the reasons why you aren't talking aren't really that serious, then it is definitely worth picking up that phone call, or sending that email, or writing that letter, whichever feels comfortable to you. It is worth doing it to fix your problem with your sibling. As we know, our siblings are probably our longest relationship. Yeah, we grow up with them. In my personal experience, I shared a room with my brother. We had bunk beds, and so we spent a lot of time in small spaces together, and obviously this resulted in a lot of conflict. I would play his records and he would get angry with me. He would insult me and I would get angry with him. And on it went, until the day arrived where my parents separated and my brother left with my mum and I stayed with my dad. So this was one part of our relationships, probably the main part where things started to get quite difficult. The immediate years after my parents separated, my brother and I actually got quite closer together. But this only lasted a few years until I started, going out clubbing and going out with girls and stuff like that. And maybe I didn't visit my brother as often that he would have liked. Maybe I was a little bit too selfish, and so this all kind of mixed up. Problems with my mother, arguing with my mum and my brother finding out, or my brother arguing with my mum and me finding out, and this went on and on and on. and got worse and worse and worse until the climax arrived in the summer of 2006, and we just stopped talking to each other. So our parents, when they have more than one child, they want their children to have a loving and close relationship forever. But unfortunately, on a lot of occasions, this just doesn't work out. It just doesn't function. So on a lot of occasions, we have to really evaluate our priorities in life. And if you see that your relationship or lack of relationship is dragging on, then here are some tips that can help you cope with falling out with your loved ones. Tip number 1, try and put yourself in their shoes. Try and have compassion towards your siblings. Now, we're all different. We all think differently. We all have our own belief systems. So we have to have an understanding that sometimes in life we're just not going to get on with people, or we're not going to agree with them. The key is to have compassion, to have empathy. It's not easy. I struggled with this for 12 years. How do you allow yourself to have compassion for your sibling? You have to put yourself in their shoes. You have to think back, what happened? Did you say something insulting, or did you do something that wasn't really right? Maybe they had reason to behave they did. Maybe they didn't. But the key is to have compassion, put yourself in their shoes, understand their predicament, and this will go a long way. This will go a long way to easing the tension and to starting the beginnings of your new relationship. Tip number 2, always a good thing to do, is to tell your sibling how you feel, what's on your mind, to be open with them. Instead of repressing and venting and holding back, the best thing you can do is be open to them. Tell them, listen, bruv, sister, I need help in here. We need to do something about this situation. Mum and dad need help. Whatever it may be open. Speak to them about it, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to express yourself. Okay, so that's tip number 2. And tip number 3, may be a good thing to do. Cut back on the amount of time you spend with them. Sometimes we have this idea that because they're a brother or because they're a sister, now we have to be spend all our time with them. We have to see them every single day or every other day or whatever it may be. This could actually cause problems. This could actually cause a lot of tension. I found out in the hard way that spending a lot of time with my brother back in the day, it would cause a lot of arguments and tension. So after the 12 years, and when I decided to call him, contact him a year and a half ago, I decided to sort our relationship out. We don't talk to each other every day. We don't talk to each other every other day. We talk to each other every so often. He lives in London, I live in Spain, so we send each other emails, see how we're doing. Everything's fine, everything's cool, and that's our relationship now, and we're good with that. We are good with that. So those are the 3 tips I wanted to share with you today. I know a lot of people out there that have fallen out with their siblings. It's a shame. If you can fix it, make that first call, get up off your ass, raise your vibration, and you do this by showing compassion, being honest and upfront, and maybe just cutting back a little bit on the amount of time you spend with each other. So hopefully this has helped. I know there's a lot of people out there that are going through this. So keep your spirits up, be positive, and I assure you, if you use these tips, it will help you. Have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.